do is I decided to go to this gym and start working. So this gym was crazy. I mean, it was 100,000 square feet. And when you walked in the gym, the first thing that you saw was all of these monitors all over the gym. Now, not like at a sports bar. I'm talking about something that you could place this thing in like Dubai. So there was monitors in front of the cardiovascular machines, right? And the cardiovascular machines, literally, the cardiovascular machines would be so useful because they had not the regular kind. See, they had rowing machines that had aqua resistance. So not only were you in just this fabulous place, but then you would be in a setting like you were Aquaman. And then on the bottom they had these treadmills that when you step went laterally. They were made by, was it Cybex? No, Orion, I think. Don't quote me on that. But the other thing that was so great is when you walked in, once you see all of these different, Stairmasters, and they all had fluidity, they were kind of shock resistance, and they would, the Jacob's ladder, which of course is all body weight. So when you're using a Jacob's ladder, I mean, you're talking about using your whole body mechanics. This training facility was crazy, and that was just on the bottom floor. And then when you walked into where the gym area was, it was set up like a field. So it's all AstroTurf. And there were sleds, and there were all these different training tools. And when you have that kind of access, you got to think really big if you're a trainer. So lo and behold, I took my buddy, and he was working with people, the average everyday people, but he always ran out of content, he would say. So what I did is, when we go up the steps, see, I had been working in the boxing field, had already taken part in like 6 or 7 title matches, amateur boxing, I think I was 3 or 4 national tournaments to the good. So I had some experience. So when I walked into this place, we walked up the steps, and when you walk up the steps, lo and behold, you look over the rail, and there's all of those monitors with all of the best sports and activities and food channels going on at the same time. I mean, they spent real money. And Jeff Skeen, which was the CEO of this company, we found out, like, literally when you go up the steps, the strength training circuit was set up in a way that it was just lights out, better than anything that you've ever seen. It's 25 machines from front to back. Front row, back row, and then on the back side. And it was a 20-minute circuit. So if you do that 20 minutes, you're gonna be in shape. Then to your right, when you walk up to the steps, as you're facing, if you're looking this way, it's right, but if you're facing it, it was a theater, and in the theater was cardiovascular training again. But this time you get a chance to pick your movies that you actually want to see. So now you got television, you got your movies. So let's say you wanted to go see Bad Boys for Life. It's probably what's playing today. And so when you look at it, it was more or less the ambiance of the place could get anybody. So if you was a trainer at this place and you were the best at that place, that means you're the best trainer, right? So this guy, he just could not get, and I loved him to death, but he could not get his understanding of what to do when you get into an opportunity to be in a place like this. So every single time that I saw him, it was like, this is what you're going to need to do. You got to get your mind into a place where you're using things that you don't have to keep creating new and inventing new methods of doing it. You have to have something that one of the things I like to make it clear to him is you got to have something that you can rely on if you're not there and somebody has to take your place. You can say, this is what I've been doing with the person. It's called a process. So one day I decided to take him to the gym with me, the boxing gym. So we got in the car, he met me there, and then he got to see guys who were actually fighting on television and guys who were competing at the higher levels of other sports. We had the track and field team, which we had Marion Jones, Justin Gatlin, Melissa Barber, and the list went on and on. Sean Crawford, all of those were gold medal Olympian. And he saw that when I went over there, I also had another process. So I'm talking to people who are so confused on how life goes in a circle. But the moment that he realized that everything that I was doing wasn't based on where I was, it was based on what experience that I could give people that were watching me or in front of me. And I just want to encourage anybody, when you got people around you and they are relying on you, that you take liberty, dragon fruit, that you take great liberty in knowing where you're taking them. And this guy was always he overthought things too much. And I meet a lot of individuals that they overthink everything, and instead of acting on what they do and recording what's necessary to record, they continue to try to rely on a brand new thought every day. But where that can go wrong is you come up with, your brain activates 60,000 thoughts a day. 60,000. So if you don't have a process to work with people, there was this young lady, she was 6'1", and she was frumpy as it can get, hunchback literally, from Greece. And when she approached me the first time, she said, I want to get in shape, but I can't gain muscle. So what I find out when I take her through the assessment is she was doing too much cardio. So the cardiovascular, she had been told that you got to do cardio if you want to get in shape. But lo and behold, the only thing that was doing was eating away the glycogen stores and the muscle, because she was doing too much cardiovascular. So we slowed the cardiovascular down, cut it down, made sure she was working out in a fat burner zone, which was low intensity. It's hard to actually feel it, but it actually works. And once we did that and started adding my physical training program, it was called they called me the Master Body Sculptor, because I've also worked with a lot of people who are in the bodybuilding field. Once I started to work with people so abundantly, and when I started doing that, a lot of people started paying attention. This young lady was 6'1", hunchback, very young, only one child. Within 6 weeks, she was tall, her muscles were defined, she had a waist, and she had always complained about the bottom of her stomach, where, because if you're tall or either short, that bulge. And by that time, we concentrated on getting rid of the bulge. So it was, like I said, functional training, breathing exercises. One of the things that I've done is created a method to breathe that you are working from the psoas muscle. So over the course of the next few weeks, she just noticed every time we got on the scale and every time she put on her clothes, that was going away, and it was. And then I made sure that she had the nutrition plan that was going to work with that focus, cleansing the gut, burning the fat at the bottom, and making sure that bulge turned into a washboard. And so that's kind of what we did. And after people noticed me doing that, that's where I started getting approached by really top level bodybuilder, women in the bodybuilding field, because they said, hey, you know what you're doing. But the bottom line is, this whole thing was about a process that you use, because you had a process, you can take them through it. And there are a lot of people that are trying to figure out, how do I serve these individuals who are watching me or wanting to work with me? How do I serve them with an actual, this is what I do best. You got to find out what you do best. And that's it, man. I just say, whatever it is you do, because most of you watching, you got something that you do well. What you have to do is find out what you do well, what you love to do, and then what is it that you do well. And then get with people who know how to craft that out into something. And when you do that, it was the reason why I was able to make 7 figures online and 7 figures physically in the gym. And when you're doing that, what happens is your confidence goes up because you figured out something, right? And these people learn that process is king. You're not the best, but the process that you put down was the best. You sat there, you groomed it up with people, and that is the reason why you're able to not have to be somewhere at work. I'm here cutting up dragon fruit. And the reason why that is because first I had a program, and then I understood my target market. Who was I going after? I was going after people who wanted to get super defined, physically defined, and have their movement and abilities and go from frumpy looking to looking athletic. And so that was kind of what was coming. People who needed to lose 25, 35 pounds but get shredded. And so that's what my program was. It was basically shredding people, and that's what you learn. Now, the real course of action is that I work with people who lack real ability physically, and people who lack the ability to really, sometimes they have a disability. So because my expertise is in that level, but your expertise is in a level that a lot of people don't know how to get with, but you don't have a process. So that's the key, is to get a process and to learn how to skin that cat. Because when you're able to do that, that's when you have what we call an asset. And an asset is something that works, literally works for you when you're sleeping or at the beach. What is your asset? Because it only takes 3 components: the actual solution that you have, who you have it for, and then how to duplicate yourself, launching that thing and letting the people know. Once you got that, that's your asset. That's where you can go to the banks and the people will say, you know, how can we get behind you in this? That's where you start to get the respect. And with that being said, I hope you guys try some dragon fruit because it's amazing. Continue to follow for more. Coach Bradley and I'm out. Peace.